you and I always have different opinions on things. I, of course, want to talk about the season and the success of the Blue Jackets this year. You know, I see this team as a playoff team with that asterisk saying that if Steve Mason can play anywhere near like he did as a rookie when the team went to the playoffs, that they're a playoff team. You, on the other hand, are skeptic.
I am. Well, I'm with you, though. If he can play as good, he was amazing that rookie season. If he can be that good this year, well, then, yeah, I think you obviously have to figure this team. This team is a better team overall than they were 3 years ago. So you have to figure if Mason can be that good, then yes, they have to make the playoffs. But you know, if he's average, I think this team will be fighting for a last playoff spot. They would be probably a 9 or 10 seed team if he's an average goaltender.
You know, and I think the wild card in all this, especially with the goaltending, and you know, we have to remember, you know, this team is far better. It's a much more improved team, both offensively and defensively, in front of Steve Mason. But the wild card is the backup goaltender in Mark Dekanich. I mean, here's a guy who comes from the Nashville organization, was coached by a guy, you know, or his goalie coach is the same guy that coached Pekka Rinne and Tomas Valkun. So this guy could possibly be a hidden gem.
Yeah, well, but you look around the league, the outside perspective on this team, you know, Vegas rarely gets it wrong. They're saying that this team is the 29th best team in the NHL. So that tells you something right there, what the outsiders are saying about this team. Certainly inside the locker room, they feel, you know, we just talked to Jeff Carter, and he said it's realistic to say that this team is a Stanley Cup, at least playoff team, and, you know, certainly could go deep in the playoffs because he 2 years ago, they were the 7th seed in the East, and they went deep. And so he knows that as long as you get there, you have a chance. A lot of it's going to hinge on Mason, obviously, but there's still maybe an offensive piece or two missing with this squad that you see, you know, those other teams, you look at Detroit or Vancouver, they have 3 or 4 elite scorers. This team now has 2.
RJ Umberger's not an elite scorer?
I wouldn't put him on that.
Broussard's not a, I mean, if you're talking about 40, elite. 50, 60-point scorers, obviously, but now you have two All-Stars and you have two players now that teams have to defend. It's not just one guy.
Well, sure, but what you're looking at though is you're looking at 2 guys who are definitely high-end scorers, but they're not Sidney Crosby's. They're not Alex Ovechkin, so you need some guys around them who can also be elite scorers. And there's Umberger to
Vermette? Huselius when he comes back?
Well, to me, like you bring up Umberger. Umberger is just as good as a grinder too. He can play that role, but he's as far as can he give you 40 goals a year? No.
And Jeff Wisniewski, have you seen a slap shot from the blue line?
Well, the
guy can score.
He's a puck mover, but he's also a defenseman too. So you have to keep that in mind. Is that he gets a lot of his points on the power play,
and the power play should be improved.
That should be one thing with Todd Richards, with Wisniewski, with Carter. This power play should be better. I
think that 2 things you have to consider. You're still in the Western Conference. You're still competing with Detroit, Vancouver. I do agree with you on that standpoint, but there's no reason why, you know, like a couple of the guys just said, you know, during media day, get in and anything can happen.
You have 4 very good teams in this division that you're going to see. This team still, you know, they haven't won in Nashville in years, many years.
That's the opening night, by the way, home against Nashville.
Yes, but they haven't won in Nashville in a long time. They have had some success against Nashville here, but you know, Hitch called him Darth Vader, and they haven't done anything to really dispel that over the last couple years. You know, Chicago is certainly going to be good. Detroit, they reloaded over the last couple years. And then, of course, you have St. Louis, which is a good up-and-coming team. You know, this team could finish 5th in the division and still compete for a playoff spot. That's how good this division is.
So keep it locked in here to Columbus Wired as we get you prepared for the October 7th regular season opener, and we'll be back with you next time. For Justin, this is Dave. So long, everyone.